Somebody suck me!
Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports show that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, presented by Bolen Media. I am Ross Bolen. It is Monday morning, and the Astros are still rolling after taking 2 of 3 against the Chicago Cubs over the weekend. Let's start by saying this was a 6-game stretch that many who know ball were saying was a true test of whether or not the Astros were legit. They swept the Phillies, then took 2 of 3 against the Cubs. That's a 5-1 homestand against 2 good playoff teams, 2 first-place teams. Phillies leading the NL East, Cubs leading the NL Central, and the Astros handled their business against both to get to 50 wins on the season thus far. Currently sitting at 50-34 with a 6.5-game lead over the Mariners, who are the next closest team in our division. Now, oddly, in those 2 series, the Astros scored 17 runs while allowing 17 runs to score, but managed to go 5-1 over those 6 games against the Cubs and Phillies. Just kind of strange that it shook out that way. Houston was the best team in baseball, in all of Major League Baseball, in June. Did not lose a single series in the entire month of June. June has been good to the Astros. I think it's just 2 years in a row that we ended with the best record in June. But that's a big picture positive to take away from the month of June. We absolutely crushed it. Best team in all of baseball. American League, National League, Astros, best. But we're focusing on the Cubs series today, so let's talk about that. The return of Ryan Pressly and Kyle Tucker. Game 1 on Friday. Brandon Walter starts and gives the Astros 6 solid innings, yielding 5 hits and 1 earned run with 5 strikeouts. Big round of applause for Brandon Walter. This is exactly what we talked about last week. We've got 7 starting pitchers on the injured list. I guess 6 now that McCullers is off of it. And we've got guys like Brandon Walter stepping up and giving us big outings, eating up innings, not yielding a whole bunch of runs, and giving us the opportunity to win close ball games. The difference in Game 1 on Friday was Yanier Diaz hitting a 3-run bomb in the 3rd inning and a Cam Smith 3-run bomb in the 4th inning. More on Cam Smith in a moment, but that was essentially Game 1. Game 2 on Saturday, not so fun. Lance McCullers Jr. on the bump, first start since returning from the IL with an ankle injury, and it did not go even close to well. It went very, very poorly. About as poorly as it possibly could have, honestly. He did not look comfortable at all. It happens, but he only pitched 3.1 innings, gave up 8 earned runs, threw 12 consecutive balls at one point, and was generally a bit of a mess. Now, Lance has admitted and acknowledged that he has, for whatever reason, struggled against the NL Central. I think he referred to them as his daddy. I think any level of injury with Lance McCullers Jr., considering what he has been through in his career, no matter the severity, I know this was just a freak incident in the weight room that created this ankle injury, allegedly, but like any level of injury for him is probably pretty triggering at this point. So you got to give him some grace that it was his first game back. You take the L and you move on. I wouldn't worry too much about Lance McCullers Jr. based on what we've seen from him in several really solid outings this season. It's kind of a rocky start, his first couple of games back from surgery after missing, over a full calendar year. But then he really settled in. And I'm not going to hold this game against him. It was a shame to break our home winning streak. I think we had won like 9 consecutive home games at that point. But all things considered, you take the L, you move on, you hope Lance is able to get more comfortable by the time he's back on the bump for his next start. The difference in this one was obviously LMJ getting destroyed, but also Kyle Tucker going absolutely off. He had 4 hits, a homer, 3 RBIs, and 4 runs scored, which is something you want to avoid any one player on the opposing team accomplishing. Cam Smith did homer again against the team who traded him. His first time to hit ding-dongs in back-to-back games in his young career, so that was cool. Silver linings, people. Find them. My favorite sports fan is baseball fan who loses his fucking mind and has his entire day ruined by one regular season loss when his team is comfortably in first place. You have got to find some perspective, sir. What are you doing? You can't, there's 162 games in the fucking season, man. We're up 6.5 in the division. You've been playing great baseball. It was just funny seeing how many Astros fans completely derailed after game 2 against the Cubs. I'm like, yo, we're in like one of the most enjoyable stretches we've had during this like dynasty run that's 8 years in the making at this point. How are you possibly sad? How could you be upset? It blows my mind. And this is not just an Astros fan thing. It's a baseball fan thing. Every franchise has this group of fans who cannot seem to wrap their heads around the fact that one game does not make or break anything. Now, sure, yes, when you get down to the wire at the end of the season and if it's a close race for the playoffs and you're fighting for a wild card spot or the number 1 seed in your division or the number 1 seed in the league, then yeah, you can live and die by every game. But like, we're just at the halfway point. And we're 6.5 games up. Anyway, some of y'all need to pull it together. Find some perspective. For the love of God, try to enjoy yourselves a little bit more. Just brutal to live that way. I don't know how you do it. I would just be miserable all the time. Maybe that's what you want. I don't know. It's your prerogative. It's your life. Do what you need. But Jesus Christ. Game 3 against the Cubs Sunday. Framber Valdez on the bump, and he goes 6 innings, strikes out 6, walks 2, does not give up a run. Continues to add dollar signs to the inevitable contract that he'll get from some team after this season. Again, will not be the Astros. I reiterate, please try to enjoy the back half of this season, the last half season that we will have Framber Valdez as a member of the Houston Astros before he goes and gets $300 million, which is just not something the Astros are going to do. Brian Abreu was also nails for 2 innings, does not give up a hit or a run. Josh Hader is nails in the 9th and does not give up a hit or a run. Altuve hits a 2-run bomb in the 5th ball game. That's it. That's the difference in this game. Our pitching, locked down. Cubs cannot do anything with it. Like it at this point, we're yet to really see a team that when our pitching staff is at their best and performing well, like in this game 3, where you've got one of our 2 aces on the bump, and then you've got Abreu and Hader ready to do work after he goes off, then it's going to be tough to beat the Astros. It's going to be really, really hard when you've got Hunter Brown or Framber Valdez starting, and you've got Abreu and Hader both ready to do their work at the end of the game. We do not have to score that much, which... We'd like to see more offensive production, sure. But we're scoring enough. 50 wins. You got to love that. So now feels like as good a time as ever as any to evaluate the Kyle Tucker trade. Remember, seem to be some like issues with people remembering the context of the Kyle Tucker trade. I saw people online saying like, I shouldn't have left. He didn't leave. We traded him. We traded him away. He didn't choose this. We did it. The Astros did it. The front office did it. Dana Brown did it. They made a decision. And remember, they traded Kyle Tucker knowing this was the last year of his contract, and he was going to test free agency and aim for a long-term 8+ year deal, long-term deal, probably going to want like a 10-year deal, probably going to get that deal, and the Astros don't do those deals. Frankly, well-run baseball teams don't do those deals. They rarely pan out. They put you in a position where you've got no flexibility, and they decided to rip the Band-Aid off and get max value for Kyle Tucker now instead of just letting him walk out the door and getting nothing in return, which they historically have done more often with their star players. It's what they did with Correa. It's what they did with Bregman. So... all that is to say, especially the fact, like Kyle Tucker's injuries last season, he's dealt with some injury shit. I think they clearly made the right choice here because our return was the Cubs got Kyle Tucker, we got Isaac Paredes, we got Cam Smith, the rookie that the Cubs drafted last season, and then we got Hayden Wesneski, the pitcher who unfortunately went down and is going to need Tommy John surgery. But if you look at the production that we've gotten out of Isaac Paredes and Cam Smith, it's sort of difficult not to be really stoked about the way that Dana Brown handled this. It sucks losing Kyle Tucker. It's always going to suck to lose a Kyle Tucker. No shit. You wish you could have 9 Kyle Tuckers. You'd never lose a baseball game. But you can't, and even having one is really, really costly. Okay? So I think they played this as well as they possibly could have. And just in terms of evaluating, the Astros demanded that Cam Smith be included in that trade. It was the only way the Cubs were going to make it work. Astros get Cam Smith. That was a roll of the dice. It's very, very difficult to judge how freshly drafted prospects are going to perform. And Cam Smith has been unbelievable. Not only that, they had to move his ass out into right field, which he had not played professionally. I don't know if he played in like high school or something, but like he was a fucking infielder. We moved him to right field, and it's always funny to me to hear like whenever he makes a play in right field, our announcers just go nuts. He can do it all. Look at him. What a miracle. It's like, well, no, he's just a really athletic guy who's probably just generally good at all sports. And the outfield is not all that fucking complicated. You need to be able to get a good read on the ball, a good jump off the crack of the bat. You need to be fast, and you need to be able to catch and be athletic. There's diving and jumping. But it's not rocket science out there in right field. Not a lot of baseball is. The closest thing to it is pitching probably. And hitting, I guess, is very, very difficult. But like playing the fucking outfield, it's not the crazy. The guy's an athlete. He's a tremendous athlete. He's 22 years old. You know? He's not turning water into wine out there. He's just making plays. And he is making plays. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying we should take anything away from Cam Smith. It's just funny to hear how much praise is heaped onto him for making basic plays in right field. But he's been phenomenal. The overarching point is that Dana Brown crushed this. He crushed it. Isaac Paredes has been phenomenal at third. He's been a great hitter. He's been a better, more productive hitter in the first half of the season than Bregman has been in many, many years. Okay? So we plugged major, major holes here. Obvious hole in right field with Kyle Tucker going out. You plug that with Cam Smith. We lose Alex Bregman because we're not going to pay him what he wants to be paid. Look who's at third. The guy we got out of the Kyle Tucker trade. He plugged both holes with one trade. It was a great, great move from Dana Brown. And, you know, there have been question marks around Dana. The big sales pitch on him when he was hired was that this guy knows how to evaluate talent. Look at what he did with his former team. You know, he knows how to read prospects. He knows when to pull the trigger on trades. He knows how to handle personnel at an expert level. And now it is becoming more and more clear that that is actually the case. And the more success that those two guys have, Cam Smith and Isaac Paredes, the better it's going to make Dana Brown look. And right now, he's got to feel really, really, really good about where he's sitting as far as job security goes, considering the results of the biggest move he has made so far during his tenure as general manager of the Houston Astros. So, sucks to lose Kyle Tucker. Weird to see him in a Cubs jersey back at Daikin Park, but also difficult not to feel really good about what the Astros got back, especially considering Cam Smith went out there with a chip on his shoulder and hit bombs in Game 1 and Game 2. And by the way, I mean bombs. If you have not gotten to go back and watch these Cam Smith ding-dongs yet, go and look. Enjoy. The first one, he pimped it, put a little sauce on it, gave a little bat flip action, knew it the second it hit everyone watching the game. You could hear this fucking thing. It exploded off the bat into the Crawford boxes. Unbelievable. But God, he's fun. He's fun to watch. Really enjoyed him. Really, really enjoyed him so far. I want to say Brian Abreu is not getting enough praise. There's just so many people to give it to right now on the Astros that I feel like Abreu, having been around for a few years, where the expectations have kind of been set for him. But 1.63 ERA. 1.63 ERA. You know, he had some shaky moments last season where it was like, oh, God, is Abreu losing his stuff too? The whole bullpen was a friggin' mess in 2024. was hell. Hader wasn't the guy we hoped he would be. Presley was in demotion, depression. Abreu was seemingly affected by all the strangeness going on in the bullpen. He wasn't himself either. Now, Brian Abreu is performing as good as we've ever seen him. And Josh Hader is obviously the best version of himself that we have gotten to enjoy so far. So if Abreu and Hader can maintain their current form, we are going to be tough to beat, especially as we get back some players from the injured list. We're not going to, I don't talk about it. We're not going to talk about it, but it sounds like Yordan Alvarez is closer to coming back. We don't have to do details. If you want to do details, you can go follow, Chandler Rome from The Athletic or any of the other Astros reporters, any of the local guys, and they'll give you day-to-day updates on when he's allowed to swing a bat again, or when he's taking live BP, or when he's going to get sent down to fucking Florida or wherever to do a couple of minor league stints or whatever. Go follow that. Go follow them. I don't do that. That's not my job. I'm not a fucking journalist. I'm a fan. I'm here to talk about fan shit. I'm just saying it sounds like soon we'll get him back. We got a couple of arms, a couple of starting pitchers. I don't want to jinx anything. I'm knocking on wood, cross my fingers. They will not be named, but, looking like they're closer to return. So the fact that we've been able to have as good of a June as we did, considering the injury issues, just kind of the icing on the cake. That's all I'm saying. Now a little negativity. Jeremy Pena. He got drilled in the ribs in Game 1 against the Cubs. Missed Game 2 and 3 with what you could call discomfort in the rib area. No broken bones, allegedly. God knows we can't trust the Astros medical staff's x-ray machine. But we have no real choice but to. I know I said I wouldn't talk about injuries. We're talking about this one just for a second because it's not really an injury. It's just discomfort. He's fine. They just want to make sure he can be as comfortable as possible. They don't want this to turn into a lingering issue, so they give him a couple of days off to heal from the bruised ass ribs. And frankly, if you saw that, I mean, it was not pretty. Square in the ribs, man. Not where you want to get drilled. So shame to lose Pena for games 2 and 3, but guess what? We still picked up one of the two in the dub column and 1, 2 of 3 against the Cubs. So all things considered, it's all good. Now, the good news, that was the negativity. The good news from Chandler Rome at The Athletic reported that Astros general manager Dana Brown told the team's pregame radio show that he called Scott Boras, Jeremy Pena's new agent, as of last week. He called him right away after Pena hired Boras as his agent. And Brown said he told Boras that, quote, "We're still interested in signing Jeremy long-term and we'll be in touch," end quote. Now, I don't love that last part. "We'll be in touch" feels ominous to me. And I'm not saying this has changed sort of the overall down feeling of it's a bummer that he's in the middle of extension talks with the Astros and changes his representation. Clearly, the extension talks were not going the way he wanted them to. But this is the best shortstop in baseball, Jeremy Pena. Everybody brings up Bobby Witt Jr. or whatever. Go look at their stats side by side. Pena's having a better season. He's the best shortstop in baseball right now. He's very, very young. He's already got a World Series and ALCS MVP under his belt. He had a down year in 2024. At least it wasn't what we hoped it would be. But he's absolutely killing it this year. He's been a huge part of making sure somebody steps up while Yordan Alvarez is gone and we lose that offensive production. Pena has filled in and done his part in spades. He's been amazing. No doubt we want him back. And what I'm saying here, based on Dana Brown's pregame comments, is that maybe there's hope. Because as I pointed to, it's not always doom and gloom with Scott Boras. It's completely dependent on what the player wants to accomplish. And if they want to stay where they are, he will help make that happen and get them max value considering that stipulation, like he did with Jose Altuve. Okay? It just is going to depend on if Pena cares more about getting an extra 25, 50 million off of off the market, or if he wants to stay in Houston. It's kind of going to be up to him. And that's what these players earn when they're as consistently good as he has been. The right to dictate their future. And obviously, as I've said in the past with some of these other guys we've had to talk about walking away, like Alex Bregman or Correa or George Springer or whoever, it's completely their right to go get that extra 25, 50 mil off the market that the Astros are not going to give them. It's generational wealth, man. You can't hate. So whatever happens with Pena, there should be no negativity from Astros fans towards him. That's all I'm saying. All in all, a great weekend for the Astros. They start July with a 3-game series against the lowly Colorado Rockies beginning tomorrow, Tuesday. The Rockies are a last-place team with 19 wins. Worst team in baseball, 19 wins. Should be an easy little series on the road where the ball travels well high up in the Rocky Mountains. You have to hope it goes well, and the Astros continue rolling this summer into the month of July. Today's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Go yard all baseball season long with Underdog's Pick'em game. Underdog is a leading place to make all your sports picks, and you can play now in your state. Their app has over 100,000 five-star reviews and millions of players to play. All you have to do is download the Underdog app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You can choose from things like home runs, strikeouts, total bases, and so much more. If you get your picks correct, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. You could turn $1 into $1,000 using just your baseball knowledge. Now, I should note, I hit one yesterday. Made some good plays. I had 4 picks in the Astros-Cubs game. 3 on Sunday. It was Kyle Tucker, higher than 1.5 total bases. He accomplished that in the first inning with a double. Isaac Paredes, higher than 0.5 hits. He accomplished that in the first inning with a hit. Jamison Tylon, whatever their pitcher's name was, higher than 3.5 strikeouts. He got 4. Framber Valdez, higher than 5.5 strikeouts. He got 6. Crushed it, nailed it, love it. Now, what I normally like to do on Astros games on game day is go into the Underdog app, click the MLB button, scroll over to the Astros game, and make plays on our specific game since I'm going to be watching it. It makes it a little bit more fun, you know? But we've got an off day today, obviously, after winning our series against the Cubs. So another fun thing to do is go to their daily fantasy battle royales. It's like a little daily fantasy tournament, basically. Like the Web Gym Royale they have today. It's $7 to enter. I go in, I do a fantasy draft against 2,000 plus other people, pick 6 players over 6 rounds. The idea is obviously that the 6 players you choose, you want them to accumulate the most points out of anybody else. But like in the case of a lot of these daily fantasy tournaments, hundreds and hundreds of people get payouts. Just depends on which one you're in. You can check the details on there. But like for this particular Web Gym Royale today, $15,000 in prizes, $7 to enter. I picked 6 players. Very fun. It's a blast. Super fun times. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code BTC to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code BTC. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Now, quickly, to close out today's show, let's cover some more Rockets offseason moves. Rafael Stone has been grinding. Houston Rockets forward Jabari Smith Jr. is going to sign a 5-year, $122 million rookie contract extension, according to sources at ESPN. Now, this is fully guaranteed money that will make him a Houston Rocket through the 2030-2031 season, which feels weird to even say 2030, man. But big to get Jabari Smith Jr. back. As I said when we talked about the Rockets last, which I believe was after the Kevin Durant trade last Monday, if you've watched the Rockets a lot, you can see the potential with this guy. The potential is there, all right? He's got the length, he's got the build, he's got the athleticism. He needs to work a little bit on dribbling the basketball. But all in all, you can see where he could be a very, very dangerous piece of this Rockets starting lineup if he continues to develop the way that we all hope he will. And clearly the Rockets are believers in Jabari Smith Jr. This still leaves them $80 million below the 2026-2027 luxury tax line after extending Jabari Smith Jr. So they have space to create a Kevin Durant and Tari Eason extensions as well. That's the next step, I believe, for Rafael Stone that we should see more news on here in the next couple weeks. Remember, the Kevin Durant trade does not become official until July 6th, so it's unlikely we will see any extension news until after that, although I believe they are allowed to be negotiating that extension already. They're just not allowed to make any of this concrete until that July 6th deadline. So definitely want to see KD to get extended. We want to probably see a couple-year team-friendly-ish deal if possible, and obviously you want to see Tari Eason get inked as well. Another thing to note here for Jabari non-believers, he was significantly better without Jalen Green on the floor, and Jalen Green is fucking gone. 4.9 more points without Jalen on the floor, almost 10% better true shooting percentage, 40.4% three-point percentage without Jalen versus 32.8% with him. There is enough statistical evidence to say confidently Jalen Green's game did not mesh well with Jabari's. Okay? So that had to have been another factor in their reasoning for shipping Jalen Green off and signing Jabari to an extension. And Kevin Durant clearly played a part here as well, as because of the similar builds. Like, again, nobody is saying Jabari Smith Jr. needs to become the next Kevin Durant. That is not going to happen, just to be straight up. But if he can get even a couple of glimpses of Kevin's game offensively and continue to develop the way it looked like he was defensively last season, then Jabari Smith Jr. can be your number 3 guy long term. I mean, we're all pretty much counting on Amen Thompson becoming number 2 behind Kevin Durant. Alperen Sengun is right there in that mix too, but if you're talking about KD, you're talking about shorter term, right? So you've got Amen Thompson, you've got Alperen Sengun, and you've got Jabari Smith Jr. as your 3 cornerstone young guys that you want to make sure continue to develop, and everybody in the Rockets organization is betting on Jabari playing with Kevin Durant, with KD, day in, day out, training with him, practicing with him, and then really the biggest piece is getting in-game experience with him, that's going to continue to help Jabari Smith become the player that everybody thinks he can become. So to recap the offseason moves just thus far from Rafael Stone, Coach Ime Udoka contract extension inked, done, although I'm not sure it's actually official yet. It is done for all intents and purposes. Steven Adams, 3 years, $39 million deal. Done. Fred VanVleet, 2 years, $50 million. This is a thing we haven't discussed yet. Fred takes a team-friendly deal here that I think it's like he left like $20 million on the table or something like. Clearly, Fred wants to be around. He believes in what they've built. He wants to try to get a ring here in Houston. He was willing to negotiate a contract that would help the team have room to take care of some of this other business like Jabari's extension, Tari's extension, KD's extension. So thankful for Fred VanVleet. He has a lot of haters. A lot of people who don't think he's good enough. Those people do not know ball. They did not watch enough games last year. There was no way in hell, if you watched all those Rockets games, particularly in the postseason, that you would have a single bad thing to say about Fred VanVleet. The only reason, if you had to pick one thing that was like, well, this is how we took Golden State to 7 games, it was Fred repeatedly stepping up and catching fire and way outperforming his regular season numbers in terms of scoring that entire series. So I don't have anything bad to say about Fred, and neither should you. So Fred VanVleet, 2 years, $50 million. Jabari Smith Jr., 5 years, $122 million, which is what, a couple 20 plus mil a year for that guy. 24 mil, 23, something like that. I'm not a mathematician. Traded Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks for Kevin Durant. Expected to re-sign Jeff Green, Jayshawn Tate, and Holiday as well. So you can see the vision. Rafael Stone is executing on it flawlessly. This has all gone very, very well. I'm not sure I can remember an offseason that was as cut to the chase as this one as a Rockets fan. Like, there was always huge question marks, and you never really could tell what Daryl Morey was doing and shit. Like, it was always extremely confusing. This has not been that. Rafael Stone continues to earn his paycheck. Super, super stoked to see what he's been able to do. That'll do it for today's show. Remember, we have new episodes dropping every Monday and Friday, so I'll be back Friday. Also, remember, we are available on all the podcast platforms where if you are listening right now, we appreciate you, but we would almost prefer you go and watch our show on youtube.com/@bangingthecan. And if you're on YouTube right now, hit the subscribe button. We got to work our way up to 10,000 subscribers. I think we're just past the halfway point with over 5K. You got to get to 10K so you can monetize shit, and so YouTube will start plugging you in more to the algorithm and give you more exposure. Trying to hit as many Houston sports fans as we possibly can. So subscribe on youtube.com/@bangingthecan. Comment, like, share this show with your friends and family. Tell those you know, the people in your life who are Houston sports lovers, about banging the can. I would appreciate that very much. Support our sponsors. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code BTC to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code BTC. Terms apply. See details. Follow us on social media at Banging the Can on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at Banging the Can. Check out Bolen Media's other programming. If you're an F1 fan, we've got Formula Bone with recaps and previews for all the races all season long with Jared J. Bone Borislow as your host. YouTube.com/@Formula Bone on social media as well and on the podcast platforms. If you love F1, you will love Formula Bone. Check out the Ross Bolen podcast for more from me, and also Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, where right now I am covering The Bear Season 4 with another Houstonian, Mr. Barrett Dudley, who is my co-host on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, available wherever you get Banging the Can as well. I'm Ross Bolen. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WRBolen. I'll be back Friday. Until next time, H-Town, stay down.